2011. Boy, let me tell you something. It was sure one heck of a year for everyone. India won the Cricket World Cup, the final Harry Potter movie came out, and a serious tsunami happened in Japan. Along with the television series was going through its weakest era and airing the 15th season. Yep, it definitely had its ups and downs, and yet the world felt so different back then compared to the world we live in now. But of course, that's not what we're concentrating on. Our adventure really begins at the station when Gordon was picking up his express train, when a mysterious voice appeared out of nowhere.
Hello, Gordon. It's been a while. You still remember who we are?
Listen, I'm not in the mood for guessing games. I'm already running a bit late and... Wait a minute. I do remember that voice. Gordon looked the other way and couldn't believe who he was seeing. It was the railcar twins, Pip and Emma. He used to be jealous of them for how fast they could go when they were visiting Soldor. But they became friends when they finally met. But that was a very long time ago, and he was very pleased to see them again after all these years. Well, bust my buffers! Pip and Emma! I don't believe my eyes! How are you two?
We're doing really good, Gordon. We know that this railway has changed over the years.
That's for sure. So many years have passed to the point that technology seems to be changing the world. Anyway, what are you two doing here?
That's a very good question.
Standing on the platform was the latest generation of the controllers, Miss Topham Hatt. She was given the suit and hat from the previous controller when he was going to retire. Now she's the head of the railway, making sure things continue running like clockwork and trying to make things better, along with being the first female controller of the railway as well.
I bought Pip and Emma from the other railway, and I believe they can be very helpful for this railway. I'm going to ride with them in a bit to see how they run and how fast they can be on the rails as well. Does that make sense to you?
Well, sure, but I'm still a bit confused on why you bought them to work on this island.
Well, as time went on for the past few decades, you've been given more extra time just to pick up the express. That makes the timetables go slow, and we need to speed things up on picking up the express and getting to the stations on time again like the old days.
Meaning that you just saved so much to the point your parts wouldn't work as much as they used to. So it's meant to let an engine was still working like clockwork and not let anything go, using and delaying him.
That is correct. So you'll just let them take care of the job for you from now on.
Oh, I see. I never thought this would happen, and I didn't know this day would actually arrive. What will happen to me?
Don't worry, you're still going to pull the express today. I'm going to put them into a test to see how fast they can run, and then I'll figure some stuff out.
Oh, good. Whew. Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Now you better get moving. The actress can't be running late again.
Gordon agreed and set off with the express, but he couldn't get the idea out of his head and continued wondering what will happen when the day comes. Meanwhile, Miss Topham Hatt walked up to the railcar twins and asked them if they were ready to do their test.
Oh yes, ma'am. We will let you down.
Good, now let's see how fast you can really be on this railway.
So she climbed into the coach, and the twins started their test. Everything was running very smoothly and surprised the engines who were passing by. They didn't get the news about Pip and Emma coming back to the island. The twins were going really fast and made it to the station where Thomas was at. They screeched to a complete stop, and Miss Topham Hatt was impressed.
Not bad, girls. We're right on time, and wait a minute. Actually, we're just a bit early. Now I'm even more impressed with you two. This plan of mine is better than I thought.
Thank you, ma'am. We told you we will let you down.
Miss Topham Hatt chuckled, and was about to tell them to continue their test when Thomas started talking to them. Well, this is one way to start your morning. How are you two? It's been too long since I've last seen you girls.
Hello, Thomas. It's great to see you too. We're doing well. We have to sing, but we're staying on the railway for good now.
Really? You mean our controller just bought you from the other railway?
Yes, Thomas, it does.
Well, dang. Is there any reason why she did? Before they can answer, Miss Topham had interrupted.
I'm sorry, Thomas, but we have to continue for their test to see how they do with the other stations. You can talk to them later tonight if you get a chance to see them. Is that all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now back to work, please, and let's continue your test. Girls.
So the twins set off again, and Thomas watched until they were out of sight. Huh. I wonder why Miss Topham had bought them. We don't need any more express trains. Oh well, I better get moving. Thomas was in a very happy mood today while taking care of his job. Annie and Clarabelle were following behind him with glee. Everything was running very nicely, but when they got to the bridge, Thomas spotted a big white spot sitting on the tracks. Hey, driver, what is that ahead of us?
It looks like a big pile of newspapers, so I think we have nothing to worry about.
But he was wrong. When they got closer, the pile started to move and came out with a long neck and a yellow beak. Whoa, Nilly! Thomas immediately came to a stop, just in time.
What's the matter, Thomas?
That's no pile of newspapers, driver. That seems to be a swan. And indeed it was. In front of them was an injured swan, and it was badly hurt. His driver and fireman climbed out of him and took a closer look.
This swan must have hit something that caused its wings be in bad condition. We must take it to the next station. They'll know what to do. Help me take it in Thomas's cab, fireman.
When they carefully picked up the swan, it tried to fly away, but couldn't with the hurt wing. They held onto the swan as tight as they could, but not too tight, and were able to put the swan down in Thomas's cab. The swan didn't bother to jump out of him, but stayed in one of the corners while the fireman pulled out his phone to call the stationmaster. The driver carefully put his coat on it to make sure it was more comfortable.
There we go. We'll see what to do with you when we get to the station.
When Thomas made it to the station master checked the swan out and told the crew what's going to happen.
I'll call the inspector to pick it up and take it to the vet so they can take good care of it.
And that's what he did, and the inspector immediately arrived and took the swan to the vets. Thomas was pleased that the swan was going to be taken care of, but he also felt sorry for it and can't imagine the pain it was going through the whole time. A week has passed, and the swan was fully recovered and strong enough to fly again. The vet met Thomas and let the swan go. They watched as the swan flew away above the river. That night at the sheds, Thomas told them all about the swan, and the engines were amazed with it. I'm glad that the swan wasn't on a different set of rails. Then there would have been serious trouble and sadness going around. Everyone fully agreed and congratulated him. Even Gordon was pleased with him. He wanted to tell them about what Miss Topham had told him, but he decided to stay silent till further notice.